everyone. Welcome back to the Kidwell Show. Thank you so much for joining and listening and watching. We have a special guest with us today, former owner and co-founder of 14's Ministries. We got Luke Swafford in the building. What's up?
Not much, just hanging in there.
With national champion
Yep.
at repping UGA. Yeah. And I gotta
Rapping UGA.
rapping UGA. Let's go. And I'm moving my whole desk apparently. Thanks for joining us. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm here. I'm
Mhm.
alive.
Mm-hmm. It's always good to
It's
be
about
alive.
the best I can do.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I gotta make some coffee.
I have Subway.
Subway. Hey, it's fine by me.
Yeah.
UGA. It's not what we're going to talk about, but we're going to be talking about sports to kick off this episode. And this kind of breaking news. It aired on ESPN's website March 5th, 2 days ago. Coach K, in the books, career is ended as Duke's coach, which I've never paid attention to Duke. I've never really paid attention to college football or basketball. I can do college football, college basketball, cannot stand. It's so sloppy, but that's just me. But even though I haven't been watching them, it's like Coach K is just a staple. Like, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's been there for 42 years.
42 years, yeah, which is insane.
Because I think his first recruit was Michael Jordan.
Not
one
bad.
of his first
Yeah.
recruits.
That's not
Which
bad.
Michael Jordan didn't go there, but
Still, not a bad recruit.
Yeah.
But yeah, his career ended just a couple days ago on Saturday to their rival North Carolina Tar Heels with a devastating loss of 94-81 in his own house, or in his own house, really. So, question to you: with Coach K's retirement now in the books, how does this change the culture of Duke?
Well, I think the major thing was recruits. And it's 40. Okay, so ever since the recruiting ranking website was created in 2003, they've landed 18 top 5 recruits. And you may think like only 18 in almost 20 years, but that's a lot. Top 5 recruits, which so I think the major thing when he leaves is just recruits because he attracted a lot of people.
Just with
And
his name
Duke,
alone.
yeah, because he's been at Duke for a very long time. And it's like, for me, once you think of Duke, you think of Coach K.
Yeah, I have no idea anything about other than Coach K. That's all I know, and North
Yeah,
Carolina.
same for me.
Well, with that, with the absence of Coach K, okay, will there be an obvious hole? Will
think-
recruits would recruits be willing to come to Duke?
I think there would be less. I think they'll still get recruits just because it's Duke and it's like a big basketball school, I think. But I think that one of the biggest things would be just work ethic because that's all Coach K really preached was work ethic. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing.
It's a good takeaway. Moving on. Next question. Moving to the NFL football. It's a pretty crazy year, and Super Bowl. I watched a little bit of it, not a lot of it.
Mhm.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Mr. Stafford getting
Yeah.
his first Super Bowl finally.
I watched like the second half, and it was a very good game. It's probably one of the best Super Bowls in a very long time.
Facts. It was really good, and it was a good season. Well, it was okay for my teams,
right.
which we're about to talk about. And I promise I'm not being biased about what we're going to talk about. We have 2 segments about this team, but it is trending news. It's pretty much breaking news, and it revolves around my beloved Dallas Cowboys, which you can see in the background. And we also have a Brady poster that's courtesy of my dad. You can see it behind me. But we're going to talk Dallas Cowboys. Our team has a lot of problems. That's not what we're going to talk about, but we got a lot of problems. But every team is trying to get better. I mean, that's just how it is. But as we're trying to better, it has hit NFL from NFL.com. It reports when the Dallas Cowboys signed Amari Cooper to a 5-year, $100 million contract in 2020. The club built an escape hatch and the deal beginning in 2022 with no guarantee money left. And the Cowboys are ready to pull that lever to say goodbye to Mr. Amari Cooper. Now, Dallas Cowboys, that we make a lot of mistakes, and I don't know about this, but they have informed that he will be cut if a trade deal is not reached. So, with this, sorry, go ahead.
Is that official? Like they're officially going to get rid of him in some way?
Yes.
Okay.
NFL.com reports that if they're believe looking at trading, because I mean, when I saw the reports, it just said cut. They were planning on cutting him at the beginning, or here in the next couple of days or weeks. But then I looked up here, and they're going to try to trade him to get somebody for him or some draft picks, which I think is smarter. Even if you get second round or third round picks, you don't have to get a first round pick. As long as you get a second or third, a couple of them at least. I like Amari Cooper. I really do. He wasn't as consistent as I was hoping he would be this past season, but I think he was a good fit for Dallas. It's just us staying healthy. That's one of the biggest problems. But we're looking at trading / cutting Amari Cooper, and we're actually working on a deal from Michael Gallup. So, what's your takes on this? Amari Cooper over Gallup, smart, bad decision to even consider cutting or trading. I get that we can't afford CD, Dak, Zeke, Amari. We just can't afford it. So, what's your take? Who should be gone in a hypothetical sense? If someone has to be gone, who should be gone?
I think Zeke should be gone because he has not been himself for a couple years. And that's just because running backs over time just get worse and worse just because they're being hit all the time, every game. And they're running. They just get injured a lot. You can see that with Christian McCaffrey and what's his name? Saquon Barkley. You can see with a lot of running backs, it's just over time they get more injured and more injured, and they get worse. But also, running back is very replaceable. Like Zeke could be easily replaced by Tony Pollard or one of the running backs in the draft class. So, I think he should be the one that's gone, but apparently they're not going that way.
Yeah, and even Tony Pollard even had a better season than Zeke. I mean, in my opinion.
He did.
I mean, he's more explosive, more yardage. It's just,
and he's younger.
I like Tony Pollard. Yeah, and he's younger. But I get Amari Cooper eventually needs to be gone. I get that, but he's not the problem. When you text me the other day about this news, I was at work, and I said that Amari is not the problem. Zeke's the problem. He has the money and it's not producing. Now, Amari has been facing injury. So did Zeke. Zeke had an injury that he played for pretty much the whole season. But before he was injured, even last year, no results. If Amari has to be gone, start with Zeke first, then make your way to Amari. Because we're paying, I mean, and I get Zeke, we can't really do anything to Zeke right now. I believe he's under contract and he's guaranteed money. And Amari is not guaranteed money from what this says. So I kind of get that. I kind of do. But at the same time, I don't know if I would get rid of Amari Cooper. I love Michael Gallup. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Amari Cooper turned down more money from Washington to go back to the Cowboys a couple years ago.
He did.
And
so he's loyal. I don't get it.
I like Amari Cooper. He hasn't been as good as he could be. I don't really know why that's been. I would definitely take CeeDee Lamb over Amari Cooper.
Absolutely.
Michael Gallup, I don't know, just because he tore his ACL last year, I think. And that's like
he had like 2 or 3 major injuries last year.
Yeah, that's a pretty major injury. So I don't know. don't. I think it would be a mistake to cut Amari Cooper and give that money to Michael Gallup because
Who
I don't think Michael Gallup could do as good as Amari Cooper
he
could.
has proved himself to an extent, but not to the extent of Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
It's just he had some massive plays that actually became like game-winning plays, but Amari Cooper I think is the better. That's just my opinion. My opinion is jack squat apparently, but that's the way it is. Okay, next topic here. This is coming from InsideTheStar.com, the Dallas Cowboys little news network here, and the Dallas Cowboys official news website states signing Marcus Mariota would give the Cowboys a true QB battle. Now, some say Dak Prescott. Now, I am a Dak Prescott fan. I am actually originally a Tony Romo fan, and I kind of broke my heart when Tony Romo retired. It did, and when Dak Prescott took over. But some say he's overpaid. Some say he doesn't produce. Some say his injury puts him in a state where he will never be like he was, which I think is false. I know he kind of had a little bit of wavering in the later games of the season, but I don't know if bringing Marcus Mariota would be a good idea. Even I play this hypothetically that they somehow, for some reason, start him over Dak. I don't think he's. I just don't think he's the fix. I don't think Dak is the problem. I mean, our offensive line is the problem, honestly. But like I was saying, some say it's due to his injury. As let's just hypothetically think. What is your stance if hypothetically they bring in Marcus Mariota, and would it challenge Prescott for superiority?
I don't think it would be very smart to bring him in. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a team that already had a good quarterback and then brought someone else that's not so good, and it would help the good quarterback be better.
Panthers.
I think one of the big reasons that Dak fell off last year a little bit is because Amari Cooper was out, and so was Michael Gallup. So that's like two of the three big receivers on the team. And other than them two and CD Lamb, they don't really have anybody.
Yeah, and I mean, and our offensive line stunk.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
The NFL gave us the quote unquote like best offensive line the whole year. And I'm like, are you watching another team than I am? Because Dak is getting destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're having a lot of bad decisions from Jerry Jones's front office. I
just don't see how it would help at all.
I don't, and
because he's already established.
Yeah, another thing, I didn't send this into the notes, but Kellen Moore is still with the team. Mike McCarthy is still with the team. My stance on that is they need to be gone. I don't know what your stance is. I didn't really prepare you for this. But if Mike McCarthy is kept, cool. Kellen Moore needs to be gone, in my opinion. He has some flashy plays sometimes, but it's got to be gone. And front office brought him back. I was hoping, I was praying the Dolphins for some reason gave him the job for our head coach, but no, he's not.
Yeah, I mean, how far did the Cowboys make it in the playoffs last year?
We didn't make.
It was like the second.
Oh, this like 2021. Yeah, 2021. Yeah. We made the first round, and we lost.
Okay.
The year before that.
Yeah, to the Packers.
No, not the Packers. San Francisco.
Oh yeah. So I've seen a lot of things about that. The QB draw play with 14 seconds left, and that's not Mike McCarthy's fault. Even though I think Kellen Moore should be gone. I don't know why so many teams are rumored to want him as their head coach because he's not that good. And Mike McCarthy isn't either. But since they made the playoffs, I don't think they're going to do anything. And plus, Jerry Jones is very loyal.
Too loyal. And it's not even, if you look at the playoff game with San Francisco, not only was I think it was a smart-ish idea to do the QB draw because Dak had nowhere to throw it. If you look at the replay, all the sidelines were guarded. Like the receivers couldn't even get out of bounds. So that was the only thing he really could do unless he just threw it up and probably threw an interception. But if you look at the whole game was coached garbage from the offensive line. The defense did pretty decent. I mean, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense, the play calls, it was stupid calls. That's where I think playoff game should have been Kellen Moore's last game as a Dallas Cowboy coach. And we're not setting ourselves up for Super Bowl. We're just not.
Yeah.
And I don't
know.
I don't understand why we're keeping all these people, why we're paying these people so much money. I feel like we're going back to Amari Cooper. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's in his contract to renegotiate his contract. Zeke needs to be renegotiated. If I was Dak, I would take a pay cut. I mean, I get he wants to get paid as much as he can. I get that. But if I was in his shoes, I would take a major pay cut just to get by. So
you see how Tom Brady took pay cuts.
Yeah, and he got people.
He got Super Bowls.
He got people. So, he got Super Bowl. He got rings. He got a legacy.
Yeah. There's some teams that have good rosters, but they're just not going anywhere. So yeah, I just think that's how the Cowboys are in the Cardinals.
Instance, which is my team. Yeah, I was about to say your team. Good team, very good team.
Well, it's honestly mostly coaching for both of our teams because Cliff Kingsbury and Mike McCarthy just aren't good.
We just need to have UGA staff just come in.
Yeah.
All right. Going for our last topic of this segment. We just came fresh off the All-Star break for the NBA season, and it was actually a pretty fun game. I was hoping Steph would break the record. Wasn't able to. But who do you think are some of the top contenders for the title? Pretty much a lot of the teams have been facing injuries. Take, for instance, Golden State. Green is still out. Andre's still out. Clay is still a little iffy-ish sometimes. Suns, CP3 is out. A lot of teams are facing injuries. So who would you say are some of the top contenders for the titles? You have the Suns back in it. I know a lot of people that's my team, by the way. A lot of people have the Suns back in for the finals. Some don't. So who do you think are some of the top contenders for this year's title?
So I could see the Warriors and the Suns and maybe the Jazz in the finals. I doubt the Jazz though, just because they don't have that
spark, that flair.
Yeah. And then so that's for the West. I mean, the Warriors, I don't know, because Klay Thompson has been kind of not himself.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair because he hasn't played in 2 years, but at the same time.
Yeah. And you can see he's trying to get back to himself because he's like throwing up threes every other play.
Yeah.
But I can see them in it still if he gets it back together by then. I could definitely see the Suns just because they have such a good team and they all work together so well. And maybe the Nuggets for the West.
So that's a good point.
Warriors and Suns are like my top.
You don't have the Lakers? The Lakers?
No. They're garbage.
What about the East?
Yeah. I could see the Bucks again. Just because Giannis is Giannis.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the 76ers, I could maybe see them if James Harden and Joel Embiid work together well.
Yeah, I saw the first game was actually pretty good.
Yeah. And then the Bulls, maybe, just because DeMar DeRozan is like a whole different player now. And I used to love him on the Raptors.
Yeah, same.
But like he's a completely different player now. And they're just doing so well. And if something weird happens, I think I could see the Heat.
Okay. I
just
haven't heard
because
much about the Heat.
they're doing pretty well this year, and they're having a lot of players that are doing better than you would expect.
Now, is Tyler Hero still
Yes.
Tyler Heroing?
Yeah, he's off the bench, and he's actually doing pretty well.
Like good.
He's doing pretty good.
But yeah, I definitely see the Suns. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
going to be biased that way just because, but I think the Suns will make it back to the finals. I know there was a lot of slack from them last year saying, oh, well, they were just playing teams that were injured, and I thought that was a bunch of baloney. But I think I can see the Suns, and I'd say 76ers. I just, James Harden just beat James Harden right now. So
Yeah.
I hope to see
I could,
Kyrie playing back to where he was, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't think KD will ever get another championship unless he comes back to play with Steph.
I could definitely see the Suns and the Bulls. I think that would be my prediction. But I don't think the Nets are going to be there.
Yeah.
Just because they're not good and they're injured all the time, and Kyrie is only half time.
Which it shouldn't be. This was a little political statement here, but it should not be up to the state to mandate whether you can play or not based on your private health doings. Like it's just anyway. I respect Kyrie for what he did. All right, to start off our political news little segment here, we have special guest Josiah Lesley with us today, and excited to have him with us today.
How are you doing?
We're doing good. How about yourself?
I didn't see myself here at 18, but I'm here for the ride. Let's do it.
I didn't see myself going on 20 here. So,
No.
well, if you have been living under a rock, you would have not known. I don't know how you wouldn't have known.
It's very hard to avoid anything,
especially these days, especially with the craziness of the world, for lack of better terms.
Oh yeah,
it's hard to not catch up on things, you know. There's a little bit of a tuffle over in the East, if you want to call it that.
Just a bit.
It's just a little tuffle.
Just a bit.
It's just a little tuffle, and we're going to get to that. There's 2 segments here that we're going to be talking about that little tuffle. But to start off, State of the Union address.
Complete disaster.
Somebody doesn't know economics.
Nope.
Someone failed. Someone took algebra over economics, and
there's no good reason to take algebra over anything.
Yeah, it clearly shows that either somebody is tired, aka Sleepy Joe, or someone failed algebra instead of taking economics, because we know Sleepy Joe didn't pass.
In my defense, I almost failed algebra, so I can get the struggle there.
Well, you can relate to Sleepy Joe. It's okay. It's okay.
Just a bit, yeah.
Well, like I said, State of the Union. I don't understand it. I don't know why we had it when there's the little tuffle in Ukraine. But he didn't say this verbatim, but he gave the inclination that evil people consist of rich people, not butchering babies people. No, rich people who made a living or made a business and made a living. Those are bad people, not butchering babies. That just nonsense crap.
I mean, how evil you are doesn't have to do anything with how much money you make.
It has nothing to do with it. And if you put that into biblical terms, some people say that the having money is the root of all evil, but the actual text says the love of money. So
right.
That's no.
If you love money, it can lead you astray, but you can love what you're able to do with money.
Exactly. And there's a
distinct difference.
There's so many people who have money and do so much good for the community. In my own city, we have Josh Norman. He's from my city, and he does so much for our city. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most generous guys. But what we're going to talk about right here is Elon Musk, owner and founder of Tesla. I respect the man it's just genius.
He is.
He's just. We're gonna get to that just that thought of ugh.
He has a gifted mind.
He moved his own satellite, Starlink. Yep. He moved his own satellite. That's a flex. Like not even Joe Biden had got. Like he moved. That doesn't. It's just like
nobody has that flex.
It's right like I got my little remote control. I'm just gonna move it. You know. I'll help.
Yeah.
Well, the U.S. Sun reported that within 10 hours after the digital master of Ukraine had sent a tweet to Elon Musk asking for help, he basically said, while you're trying to put man on on Mars, that Russia is trying to occupy Ukraine.
Right.
And Elon Musk replied within 10 minutes saying, hey, yeah, the satellite, yeah, my satellite, yeah, it's in orbit now and it's online and you can have it for communications and stuff like that. Just
there are more en route.
It's just, it's crazy. Yeah, and more en route. And I don't know, I feel like these evil rich people are doing more good than, I don't know, the president of the United States.
The real evil rich people.
Exactly. Those who have money are saying that other people who have money are evil, even though they have the same amount. I don't understand.
It's blasphemous.
I just don't understand. Yeah. Trump was evil because he had money. That's why they hated him.
And he hurt people's feelings.
He told the truth. So anyway, that we're going down
it's a whole other podcast.
Yes. So I just get your take on Elon Musk, the evil rich power lord that's just so bad that he's helping Ukraine. What's your take on this? And
So first off, he's, like you said, he's an incredible visionary, and he has a gifted mind for sure. And he's a businessman, and he saw business is all about making something to fill a void people have. And in the Ukrainians people's case, it is their internet's down because of the invasion. So he's like, okay, I can go help them out with more internet, with free internet, and help the people have access to what they need to have access to on that scale, while he'll probably profit something from that, whether that be accolades or some sort of revenue. There's something that's mutually beneficial going on here, and
well, he's not.
It comes down to the goodness of his heart.
Yeah, he's doing it for free. So
I thought he was doing it for free. You're right.
Yeah, and then I'm not even going to try to say his name, but he said special thanks to Elon Musk, and I mean he's doing a good for a struggling. Well, I guess you would say a struggling country. I mean, he's a good guy. He's an evil overlord, and he's trying to take over the world with his money and socialism.
While being a good guy in his spare time.
Yeah.
He's a different dude whenever you look at him in interviews or how he carries himself, but I think his heart's in the right place.
Kind of continuing on the Russia topic, I mean, it feels like the news is just littered with Russia this, Russia that, Russia this, Russia this. We're going to put it like a little bit of a good news. I didn't send this article to you, but I just thought it would be really neat just to read real quick, and it's coming from the Good News Network. So I just figured since
let's do it.
Since there's so much bad in the world, might as well just put a little bit of good. It's telling a story of this guy and his son. He and his 5-year son were coming back from the dentist when they saw a homeless man in the median strip in the road. Smith said on Facebook that he wanted to give the man some money but didn't have any cash. His son, Justice, noticed this man as well, and then this happened. He insisted I give the man the 30 cents he had in his pocket. That's all he had was 30 cents. It's almost as he had heard my thoughts and responded out loud. I was more than happy he wanted to do this with joy. It means he's been watching, but honestly, I was hesitant. I didn't want to give this man who clearly needed all the help he could get just 30 cents. My own pride and thoughts of this homeless individual unknown reaction to receiving just 2 coins was standing in the way. I quickly realized that I was the only problem in the situation, or the traffic light would turn green at any second. And then the thought to myself, dude, get over it. This is what we've been teaching him. And now that he wants to give everything he has to offer in this moment, you're going to let this personal self-centeredness ruin a possible lifelong great memory and solid teaching moment. Leading by example is what we've been teaching him. So now let him lead. Let him give what he can to this man. He continued, I almost told my son, let's wait to give until we at least have $1. I almost told our son by my inaction that what he had wasn't enough. I almost showed him that what he sees as a good thing, and is in fact a good thing, isn't good enough to make a difference in someone else's life. I almost taught him that pride was more important than helping another human. Thank God I quickly snapped out of my foolishness. And then he rolled down the window and said, I'm sorry, man. I don't have any cash on me, but my son here wants to give you everything he has right now. He just turned 5. The smile on the man's face lit up the intersection. He said to Justice, God bless you, little man. Thank you so much. The only thing that matched the brightness of that stranger's smile after that moment was the bigger smile on his son's face. I thought that was super.
That is very, very cool. That is pure goodness from a child's heart.
Yeah, I thought that was super neat. We had so much bad in the world, and then put a little good.
That's
Kids
very,
always-
very cool.
Kids always give you a little bit of
Yep.
joy. Now
30
back to
30 cents might not have been much, but the impact of that 30 cent from an emotional standpoint made that man's day. Good job.
Kids always kind of bring a little bit of joy in your life.
Yep.
Now back to the depressing hour with Russia.
That's what I'm here for.
I've been looking forward to a movie, and it just premiered this past weekend, collecting $128.5 million in just 2 days, and that is the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. I'm excited for it. The Russian people are probably excited for it. Those who aren't.
I'm not,
idiots.
but I'll go see it anyway.
Those who aren't idiots in Russia might have been excited to see it.
Probably.
But they cannot see it. Warner Brothers, at the last minute, has pulled the new DC movie, The Batman, from airing in theaters in Russia. The Hollywood Reporter says, alongside Disney, also pulling several movies, the Russian box office is actually massive, and I didn't know that. But the Hollywood Reporter reported that since opening day for Spider-Man: No Way Home, it earned $44.5 million in just Russia alone.
Not shabby.
It's not. I mean, they made a decent amount of money, and no doubt they would make a lot of money on the Batman too. So no doubt this has a little bit of effect on their economy, or at least with their box office economy. I think it was they had it at the 11th hour. Warner Brothers pulled it, and I'm glad they did. Because I don't think they should have such greatness right now. And I know not everybody in Russia is a complete idiot and decided to invade Ukraine. Their idiotic dictator did that, greedy.
This all comes down to power hungry. They want that land back that was disbanded 30 years ago. That's where all this is being led by.
So my question is, even though as small as the movie may be, maybe they might not make a lot of money. Maybe they might make 100,000. I don't know. Maybe $2. I don't know. We'll see. With the movie, how much do you think it's going to affect the Russian economy, and even with the sanctions that the president has put up?
So I don't think it's too surprising for anybody. This reaction was to be expected. And I get the message it sends is everyone's doing what they can to show they don't approve of Russia's actions. On the flip side, movies are a good way for us to escape reality. Check your brain at the door, you can get it 2 hours from now. And the average Russian citizen probably does not want war. They want an escape. So you feel for the citizen because they're paying the price for the action. They're paying the price for the actions of their leader. And on the flip side, that was the flip side. So back to the first point, you don't think of movies affecting the economy much. That never crossed my mind. But if what you say about the Russian box office is true, this could have a slight impact on the Russian economy more so than what you think it would.
And even our economy has gotten hit throughout. I think everyone's pretty much economy has been hit by this idiotic invasion.
I think it's pretty much a global thing now,
You know,
from what little bit I've seen.
the stock market is down. But yeah, I didn't know it was as big as it was. I had the numbers. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I had the numbers and I meant to write it down, and I apparently lost it. That's cool.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I thought I wrote it down.
By the time I'm off the show, you'll have your numbers and I'll be gone.
Yeah, most likely. But they did earn 44.5 million just with Spider-Man alone. And I know Spider-Man.
So they probably would have earned around the same, or considering Marvel does better than DC traditionally, they probably would have earned 38, 39 million from the Batman.
Yeah, they would have gotten that. They would have gotten a little pocket change. Just a little bit. With our I have one last question really for you, and it's dealing with hypothetically. I think anybody.
I love hypothetical. Let's do this.
I think anybody on the face of the well, I wouldn't go that far. Anybody with a brain could do better than Sleepy Joe. So, what I'm posing right now is hypothetically, everyone that was qualified to be president just dropped dead.
Okay.
And you are the only person available to take up the mantle.
The designated survivor.
Yes.
That's the term.
What would you do different? How would you change things? What would be your top 3 goals and priorities?
Wow. So first off, got to get right back down to the root of all these issues is God is not present in our country. He's not present in our schools. And it seems like he's not present in our churches. There's no fire there. There's no spark there. There's very little spark because I have a good church. You have a good church. There are exceptions. But across the board, people don't seem to care anymore. So you got to turn our nation back to God, put them back in schools, and just get the focus back on him. That's number one. Number two, you got to strengthen your relationship with Israel. Israel is the bedrock of all prophecy, and you have a good relationship with Israel, then obviously God's going to bless your nation. You support them, you defend them, you help them. Number three, we got to finish building the border wall, protect our immigrations, or defend our citizens by protecting our nation from the outside immigrants. There we go. And just add a bonus one, make us energy independent again and restore our own oil.
Yeah, I'll do that in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes. Not shut it down. Not shut it down.
The sign in order.
Yep, exactly. I like that.
Restore the pipeline. There we go.
Restore the pipeline.
The term escaped me.
You can run on that slogan. I like that. But I like that first part. But it's not really a religious segment here. But I did like that the church isn't evident, or God's not evident in churches, and that's very true. There's a lot of hypocrisy, and that is a term people use to not go to church, and it's unacceptable because if you're sick, you go to a hospital, and for hypocrites, they belong in church.
Mm-hmm.
If you find a perfect church, don't join it because you'll ruin it.
Exactly.
But I do enjoy it. I enjoyed that, and
well, I enjoyed being on here. I thank you for the hospitality.
As we end the show, I want to end with kind of a short devotional. And first off, I want to just say there's a statement that Jesus says tons of times, and that is, "He that hath ears to hear, let him hear." Okay, and what I just want to briefly talk on is God has a plan for you, despite your circumstance, despite whatever's going on, God has a plan for you. He always has, and he always will have a plan. He's always one step ahead of us. We always think that we can get close to what God is doing. And then once we think we've figured it out, God's like, yeah, no, I'm already like 10 miles ahead of you. And we'll never be able to really understand everything that God is doing. And that's okay, because in the end, we're just nobodies. And God, and man, that's really encouraging, isn't it? We're nobodies, but what's really encouraging is God is a somebody. Someone wrote a song, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody. And what Jesus said, let him have ears, let him hear. And that's what I kind of want to say. And I mean, our society has played the part where if something happens to you, whether you did it yourself or someone else did it to you, that's your label. But your label is what God says. Doesn't matter what anyone else says. Doesn't matter what your pastor says. Doesn't matter what your dad says. Doesn't matter what your mom says. Doesn't matter what your teacher say. Doesn't matter what the government says. What God says is final. No matter what people may say, do, act, whatever they do, what God says is final. And God has determined your worth. And if any time you think that you are just a worthless nobody and that nobody loved you, you can look back to Calvary. And Calvary determines our worth. It validates our worth. See, God could have just wrote a book called the Bible, use people to write his special love letter to us, and that could have been enough. He could have said, I love you guys. Here's a book. Here's some instruction. Figure it out. But no, he came from heaven. Okay, a being, a God being, came and wrapped himself in human flesh, corrupt human flesh. But he was not corrupted by the corrupted flesh. He wasn't corrupted. He was perfect. The Bible says that we have a high priest who is touched by our infirmities, yet without sin. So Jesus went through the exact same stuff that we go through, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's relationships, whatever the case may be. God has determined your value. God determined your value on Calvary. So anytime you kind of start feeling down and that nobody loves you, I don't know your circumstance. You don't know my circumstance. But the thing is if you get to a point where you feel as no one loves you, you can always go back to Calvary. Lead me to Calvary. Someone wrote that as a hymn. Lead me to Calvary, lest I forget thine agony, lest I forget Gethsemane. Lead me to Calvary. And I just think that's so crucial in the Christian life. Because I don't have to say it, but in the Christian life, there's so much that happens. Some people, when they get in the Christian life, they think that life is going to be Skittles, unicorn, and cotton candy. It's going to be a good old time. And a lot of times it's good. It's a good time. God gives grace and gives peace. But at the same time, there's a lot of trials. Because, trials and stuff in our life have purpose. A lot of people think that if you're in a trial, you've sinned greatly, but that's not the case. Not always. I mean, it can be, but it's not always the case. Trials are a building block. When you build a house, when you build a wall, you put brick upon brick upon brick. So same as trials in our life. See, this trial that you're going through right now is a building block for the next one. And I honestly think that's why we don't know what we're going to go through, because it would scare us half to death. I don't think that. I know that. It would have scared me half to death 3 years ago to know where I am today. It would have freaked me out. And it would have freaked you out too, to be honest. So just know this, that you have a purpose, no matter your circumstance. You have worth. You really do. And when you feel as no one else loves you, God loves you. And I know that's cliche, and I know I don't really have to say that. But man, that's powerful, you know? The God of all creation loves you and also has a plan for you. And that will help you through any storm, any tribulation, any trial in your life, knowing that an almighty, omniscient, all-powerful God knows your name. The Bible says he knows the hairs on your head. And that even if a sparrow falls, he knows about it. So much he knows about you. Like he created us, yes, to worship and adore and to serve him. But he also loves us. He wants to be your best friend. And I'm not trying to be blasphemous when I say that he wants to be your best friend, but he wants to be your best friend. He wants to be the father. He wants to be your brother. He wants to be your best friend. Honestly, I think when he was living on this earth, the disciples were some of his best friends. And I mean, some of them were. And people in his ministry, he was no doubt close to. Why? Because he was a person. He wanted friends and he wanted to be their close friend. And so is the case with us. He loves us greatly that he sent his only begotten son. His only begotten son took the place of us. My pastor says that Jesus didn't just come to die on the cross. He came to die as you on the cross. And that does something for me. And I had never thought about it that way. And I've been saved for years now. But when he worded it that way, it made me emotional. Because he didn't just come as Jesus Christ and die on the cross. He came as Wyatt Kidwell and died on the cross. He took all sin, even sin that I haven't even committed yet. He took that to the cross for me. He died 2,000 years ago. I died on a cross. But Jesus took that place. That's why it's called the substitutionary death. He died as me. He was buried as me. But the great thing is he rose as me. And maybe it doesn't do anything for you, but knowing that he went to the cross as me, he died as me, he was buried as me, but also was resurrected as me, it's just mind-blowing that he loved me, little Wyatt Kidwell, so much that he took my spot. He took on my identity and went to the cross, separated from his Father, died, but ultimately rose again the third day according to the scriptures. So next time, when the devil comes and says, you're not of worth, nobody loves you, and the next time somebody at work, school, whatever, tries to push you around, just know God still and always will love you, no matter the circumstance, no matter how many times we fail. And that's something that is phenomenal. No matter how many times we fail, he always takes us back. I think that's so neat and so sweet, and just is mind-blowing. It really is mind-blowing. But again, next time the world tries to push you around, just take hope. Hope's powerful. Take hope, take faith that God loves you, always will, always has. Thanks for watching.